Apple's key products performance, Ford supports CarPlay, and the Macalope validates. This is MacVoices. MacVoices is supported by the Anti-Gravity A1, and it's not just another drone. Learn more at the anti-gravity link in the show notes. MacVoices is supported by Incogni. Take your personal data back with Incogni. Get 60% off an annual plan at incogni.com/Chuck and use the code Chuck at checkout. Welcome to MacVoices. This is the talk of the Apple community, and I'm Chuck Joyner. Folks, this time it's New Year's Eve. We are live on YouTube at youtube.com/MacVoicesTV. I'm delighted you're here with us. I'm delighted the panel's here with us because this will obviously be the last MacVoices Live of 2025. So look out come 2026 because you never know what might happen then. Come to think of it, you might not know what's going to happen tonight because I certainly don't. We're going to do things a little bit differently. We have a few topics to cover tonight, but we also want to delve into what the panel thinks are some of the most important things that happened this year, some of the most important stories, both from an Apple and an overall tech standpoint. So that's what we're going to do. We're glad you're along for the ride. Let's find out who's here. Dave Ginsburg has joined us. Dave, great to see you. Glad you were feeling up to joining us.
Yeah, actually, I'm feeling really good. I'm back with you guys here this week, and I was a little under the weather the last couple of days, but I made it through. It's a little bit left in my voice, but it's no more runny nose and feeling a little better. And it's New Year's Eve too, so
yeah,
great, glad to be here.
Good, you got to get healthy for tomorrow night's big celebration, whatever that is. Marty Jencius is here, and I can just tell he's planning a big celebration tomorrow night.
No, Chuck, I'm not. You know what tomorrow night is? It's New Year's Eve, but I like to refer to it as amateur night. That's when all the amateur drinkers go out and pretend to be real drinkers, and it just is a big mess. So I just stay out of it completely.
Wise man.
Yeah. Good to be here, though.
Well, it's good to have you. It's also good to have Brian Flanigan-Arthurs. You can tell when Brian's on vacation or not working because he's not in a tie. He's in what looks to be like a really comfortable hoodie that you would want to stay warm in, except that, Brian, you're in Arizona. It can't be that cold.
Oh, it's all relative. We've been relatively cool.
Okay.
Yeah.
What, should I ask?
Yep.
It's still shorts weather, though.
I was going to say 70s, right?
Yeah.
Weird. Webb Bixby is here with what he tells us is the very first quilt in the collection. Webb, it's great to see you. You're muted, Webb. I don't want to miss your wisdom.
See, it's supposed to be when but it's not doing that now. Anyway, very, very first quilt when I came up when I got the green screen, I said, well, what could I put up there? And like I said in the pre-show, when my wife made this quilt, it came with a lot of foul language. So because you can look at the detail on this one, and there's a lot of cutting and a lot of sewing on this one. So anyway, Good to be here.
That isn't. I just am finally appreciating that. That's a lot of sophistication or complexity for a first quilt.
Oh, but it's the first one I showed. It wasn't her first one.
Oh, so. Okay. All right. Yeah, I was going to say, wow, that's impressive. Speaking of impressive, Jeff Gamet has arrived.
Oh, I assumed you were going to talk about Marty, but I'll take it. Chuck, it's great to see you. Well, and to be here with everyone. And what a great way to wrap up the year.
Well, we missed you last week, so I was really glad that you made it this week to help us wrap the year. So thank you for gracing us with your presence.
One does what one can.
And that's probably the only time that anyone will ever use the word grace and Jeff in the same sentence. So.
Pow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's
Mark
fair.
Fuccio is here with a New Year's resolution background. Mark, it's great to have you. What are your New Year's resolutions?
Oh, they're not the ones on the screen.
Maybe I'm just going to leave that alone. I'm a little afraid of it.
I'm still trying to figure out if I'm on the naughty or nice list from last week. So,
oh man. Well, as I said, guys, just a few things. The news is kind of quiet this week, but I came across a few articles that I thought were worth touching on a little bit, and I just got to get them up here. Apple Must has an article that says that Apple leads the industry in 5 key product segments. And I wanted to see what you all thought about this. Because I found it interesting that most of them, I think there was only one, I'm double checking here, that from the Q325 to Q424, geez, Q324, can't talk. There'd been a little bit of slippage in a couple areas, but there's still high percentages in those markets. Still not quite sure I know exactly what the MacBook segment is, but the segments are iPad, AirPods, iPhone, and Apple Watch. And so I guess you can infer tablets, earphones, smartphones, and smartwatches. Still don't know about maybe low-end laptops. I don't know. Anybody disagree with these, or you feel pretty good about these?
I mean, the Mac stands out for sure. I fully agree with it. With the silicon processor just came out within the last couple of years. That's really accelerated where the Mac portion is of this list. So I'm not all surprised. I'm even a little surprised about the Apple Watch. I mean, it's good to see that the numbers are decent because Apple never reports these numbers, so it's hard to trust them sometimes too. So, but I think they look good for the most part. I'm not very surprising but remember we're comparing against the entire industry. Yeah. I mean, especially iPhone because you have so many different products out there in that world. So.
Yeah, we should have said that these stats are pulled from Counterpoint.
Right.
So it's not just Apple. Apple Must just was reporting on them. But I look at the number of Apple products I have, and I look around the table at everyone here.
Every single one of them.
Yeah. Well, I mean, there are a lot of people on the panel that do have every single one, and maybe multiples of a couple. So
I'm in that list.
Yeah. I mean, I know this is the definition of the echo chamber right here, but still. So I felt pretty good about it.
Yeah.
Marty?
Yeah, I feel good about it overall. It's a nice article to read. I think of the other products that Apple makes that aren't on the chart or haven't been categorized. So Apple TV, where does that fit in? Desktop streaming devices, and there's nothing within that framework that's indicated up here. And then, of course, Vision Pro, which is probably tops in the category of spatial computing, because it's the only headset device that does spatial computing right now, as it is. So where do those fit? I mean, if you put together just an AR, VR headset, you'd probably see Meta on top with the Meta Quest 3 or the Meta SE. But it's no comparison. It's like comparing apples and oranges in the sense of Apple has got a computing device that you wear on your head.
Brian?
Yeah, I was going to say one particular aspect, and I know it focused on hardware, but when they're looking at total revenue, one of the pieces that they haven't included was services. And it would be very interesting to see the services year over year to see how it compared, especially since they were talking about earlier in the article about how the company's total revenue crossed the $100 billion mark for the first time. That would be really interesting to see, seeing that some of the numbers had declined year over year. Did they really decline, or was it, was it prices that was the consumer buying more higher end versions within those product categories, or was the service aspect kind of carrying that higher revenue?
I think services, because of the way Apple bundles it together, would be really hard to break out, since you'd have to be pitting Spotify against Apple Music. You'd have to try to figure out what the heck you were going to do with iCloud. There's that's it. It encompasses so many categories that I don't. It'd be interesting to see, but I don't know how you would wrap that up. And Marty, your comment about the Apple TV as a set-top device, I'm a little embarrassed to say I kind of forget about that at times, because it's just sort of my part of my life. So I really don't think about it. It's not, we've had these discussions before. It's not terribly competitive price-wise. Certainly, I think it's a really, really good interface for streaming TV, as much as it can be, given all the infighting about, who wants to let Apple do what with their app, or how they want it structured. So
and I might be wrong here, because I'm not familiar with all the other devices as a set top, but I think it's the only set top device that actually produces content instead of draws from content from. Roku doesn't have its content provision. Netflix doesn't have a set top device. I might be missing one, but I think what makes Apple's unique is that
Amazon does both.
Yeah. Okay.
But I get your point.
So,
your point's well taken, Marty. So
it would be very interesting to see what percentage of Apple TV revenue is generated by non-Apple TV device owners.
I would speculate a lot. And that's because I would speculate, just based on what I see, most people that are consuming streaming content from any provider are doing it through smart TVs, which can include the Apple TV app. So I bet there's a significant number of people that subscribe to Apple TV as a service without having Apple TV as a device.
That would be kind of my guess too, Jeff. I don't know. I can tell you this, that over the holidays, I had some experience with the Google TV interface, and some choice words were uttered during the process, and it's still not working right. It was a very unpleasant experience, as opposed to a Fire TV or Roku or Apple TV. So for what it's worth, if you can avoid Google TV as the operating system, strongly suggest you do so. And that's not me being biased. That is just fact. Mark?
Yeah. So this was an interesting list. Looking at it, it seems like it's the categories that seem to me is it's screens that we look at, of which I consider, sort of the watch, a screen that we look at, or stuff we listen to. Looking at it, they cite that the data is from Counterpoint Research, and I've clicked and followed the link, and there they had an enumeration of Apple stuff. So I spent like 5 minutes searching the site trying to figure out if Counterpoint had any sort of year-end wrap up, and I couldn't find anything. So it seemed to me that these categories, I think, were something that Apple must picked for whatever reason that's known to them. And this just feels like a feel-good, Apple year-end wrap-up story, because it seems like, so many other sites are looking in the rearview mirror to sum up the year that just ended before we kick off into 2026 on Thursday.
Yeah, I don't disagree with that assessment, Mark. So, and if it's a feel good story, it's a feel good story, because I look at these numbers, and again, the only one I find confusing or my question is the MacBook at the very bottom, because I'm assuming that's for an inexpensive laptop category.
I think you're overthinking it, Chuck. I don't think there's any particular. This is not Kremlinology where is it on the bottom or is it in the second from the top? And what's the hidden meaning of that?
There's no hidden meaning from the way I'm interpreting this. This is Apple as the laptop manufacturer versus all other laptop manufacturers.
Yes.
So it's not like Apple versus the combined PC laptop market. Based on the way Counterpoint has collected data in the past, you do have to take some of this with a grain of salt, which is not anything against Counterpoint. It's they have to use other sources and surveys to collect information because Apple doesn't provide this data.
Right.
And you could say some of that about any of the statistical bureaus that gather up this information, Jeff. They have to make certain assumptions. They're pulling from a lot of different sources, drawing some of their own conclusions. Hey, I conclude that I see Jim Rea has just arrived. Jim, it's good to have you. Glad you made it here for New Year's Eve.
It's just an AI. I'm not really here.
All right. Well, hey, happy that whoever sent the AI is testing it out here.
I'll pass that along.
What better place? What better place? Today's MacVoices is supported by the Anti-Gravity A1, the world's first 360-degree drone. If you've ever thought flying a drone felt more like operating a camera than actually flying, let me introduce you to something completely different, the Anti-Gravity A1. This is the world's first all-in-one 8K 360-degree drone, weighing under 249 grams, and it genuinely feels like a new category. Put on the vision goggles, and you're not just watching a feed, you're inside a smooth, real-time 360-degree view. You can turn your head, look around freely, and feel like you're actually in the sky. And here's the best part. No piloting skills required. With free motion control mode, flying feels intuitive, even if you've never touched a drone before. You fly first, frame later. One flight captures everything in stunning 8K 360 degrees, and the drone itself disappears from the footage thanks to advanced stitching. Miss the angle? Rewind and reframe. No second flight, no wasted battery, no wasted time. The new SkyPath system even lets you design and save flight routes, so the A1 can fly itself. That means repeatable cinematic shots, or just handing the goggles over to a friend and letting them experience it too. If you want to experience what real immersive flight feels like, check out the Anti-Gravity A1. Use the link in the show notes or the affiliate code MacVoices at checkout to support the show and get yours. This is drone flying reimagined. Thanks to the Anti-Gravity A1 for supporting MacVoices. This MacVoices is supported by Incogni. Take back your personal data. Let's talk about Incogni and your online privacy. I used to get tons of spam calls and my email was flooded with junk. The scariest of those messages were scams, and it was terrifying to see how much they knew about me. Turns out my information, like yours, was spread all across the internet without me knowing. That's why I've partnered with Incogni. It helps reduce spam and take control of my online privacy by taking away my private data from shady companies. You sign up, give Incogni permission to act on your behalf, and they go out and demand that data brokers delete your personal info. You don't have to email anyone, fill out any forms, or jump through hoops. They handle the entire data removal process for you. But they don't just do that and walk away. Incogni also continuously monitors if your data is put back onto these databases, requesting repeated removals, keeping your data yours forever. So you get less spam calls, spam emails, and get more peace of mind. And now they've introduced something huge, custom data removals. With their new unlimited plan, you can copy and paste any link on sites beyond the usual list, and their privacy team will work to get it taken down. Incogni's privacy experts actually go in and handle the removal manually, even from sites that are harder to deal with. It's like having a privacy SWAT team on speed dial. Right now, you can get 60% off their annual plans by heading to Incogni/Chuck and use the code Chuck at checkout. It's also completely risk-free. Incogni offers a 30-day money-back guarantee if you're not satisfied with them removing your personal data off the internet. Live free from dangerous spam using Incogni. That's incogni.com/Chuck for 60% off their annual plans. Right now, you can get 60% off an annual plan by going to incogni.com and use the code Chuck. That's incogni.com/Chuck and use the code Chuck at checkout. Thanks to Incogni for supporting MacVoices. We have talked so much about CarPlay this year and GM's lack of support of it. And now Ford has come out and reaffirms its ongoing commitment to CarPlay.
Don't sound so surprised, Chuck.
Listen, I'm delighted. The only thing the article points out is that it's maybe not CarPlay 2, but they seem to recognize what we've talked about so often is giving the customer the choice. And if Ford's working on their own, and that's fine, but if you want CarPlay, it'll be included. How hard is that, GM? So, no quiet. Everybody's quiet on that.
Well, Dave
put
wants
in the chat.
to comment.
I'm sorry, Dave. I missed it.
I'm following your rules. I'm not surprised. Excuse me. Ford has always been supportive of technology, and especially with CarPlay, going back years when they first came out with their system. I'm a Dodge owner, and they've been very committed to CarPlay and incorporating it into their Uconnect system. I've had it for years. I have two vehicles, a Jeep and a Dodge, and they're both welcomed and integrated into that. So no surprise here with Ford, and GM is GM. They wanted to do it their way, and that's fine. But you can't resist it. There's just so many people out there who really like CarPlay and have iPhones. And it just you got to have it. It's just I go crazy when I don't have it, honestly. Every time my wireless, because I don't have a built-in wireless on my car since older, so I have to have one of those adapters that I've talked about before. And when it craps out, it's like, oh my God, what's going on? I got to unplug it, plug it back in. So it kills me. But yeah, it's just it's nice to see that Ford's staying committed to it.
Yeah, but Dave, at least even if you have to plug and unplug it, it comes back.
Oh, it does.
It's when you rent a car or you get in a friend's car to take it and they don't have CarPlay. That you just feel like you're driving with one eye covered or something. I don't know. It just feels so strange. So
it's weird to me that this is even a topic. I mean, and there's people on both sides. You'll see some people online saying, I don't want CarPlay. I'm glad my car doesn't have it. It's like, you never heard anybody say that about CD players or tape players or, if you don't want it, don't use it. But, it seems like, the odd thing is that, Ford felt like they had to, that it was useful to make a statement. I mean, Toyota didn't make a statement. Subaru didn't make a statement. BMW didn't make a statement. But I'm pretty sure they're all keeping CarPlay. I mean, why not? I'm sure it costs them hardly anything. There are people that are going to decide not to buy your car if you don't have it. So,
well, in context of where the comments were made, it makes sense that they were made, at least to me. And I freely admit that I can play fast and loose with reality at times. But since he was being asked at a mobile tech conference about the company's tech roadmap, talking about how CarPlay fits in did make sense. I think that any other year, it would have been a non-story that he said, oh yeah, and we're going to continue to support CarPlay. But based on what GM has done and Rivian's stance and Tesla. Tesla.
I didn't realize Tesla might change. This was a comment at a conference. That makes sense. I thought they had issued a press release.
No. It's okay, Jim. I have got your back. I will sometimes read this stuff so you don't have to.
Mark.
Yeah, I was just going to say that. This was made at a conference, but somebody picked it up, and I think it's good news for Ford compared to their almost $20 billion write-off on various things and getting out of the EV vehicle. And I don't know exactly when the comments were made, but it's transitioning into CES, which I know you're going to be at, Chuck. And I expect there's going to be all sorts of mobile things. And I think also it's another way for Ford to, stick GM in the eye of, we're going to have it and you guys don't. And our customers tell us they want it, and we listen to them, and you guys don't. So, I think there's, all sorts of, just competitive dynamics, going into it. And I think, like Jim said at the start, is at some level, it's, it's a ho-hum, it's who cares, sort of like, okay, well, this car doesn't have it. This car really sucks. I'll never rent this again, so, it's just, I think it's of tangential interest, to, it's of talking point interest, for people in the Apple community. But I think for a lot of other people, if they don't have Apple devices, they probably don't care about it. And even if they do have an Apple device, maybe they, have to suffer through a rental car that is from, the GM company that doesn't have it, and all the other rental cars will, with the benefit that they can use an interface that they know and love, instead of the impenetrably complex things that so many other car makers inflict upon occasional rental users like me.
I wonder if this will affect the rental buyers at all. If they'll look at this and go, yeah, we don't, customers are going to be mad if we give them a car that doesn't have it, so we're not going to buy your fleet.
Flag-waving fans, Jim. I don't think the majority will care. I think they'll care about, is car A or B, is one $3 more or less expensive per day, and I don't think they'll peer into it to see what Apple Play support the vehicle has.
But if some company gets a reputation that I'm not giving, we're not giving out cars with CarPlay, I could easily see, yeah, I'm not gonna, that's how I'm gonna pick my rental company.
It could happen. I wouldn't bet against that.
Yeah, Webb. I guess I read this as somebody at Ford recognizing that there is, even if it's just in our little community, that there is an opportunity here for them to tout customer choice. And I mean, because the article says they're developing their own, they're working on their own, but they didn't seem to be afraid of, if you will, the competition from Apple, like GM seems to be. And so, I
thought it was interesting that it's a Barclays conference, and the comment was being made by the chief financial officer, not a marketing person, not somebody who markets automobiles. It's somebody who checks the books and makes sure all the accounting there. I think, quite honestly, it's kind of a non-story. What's the headline here? Ford's going to continue to use CarPlay. Is that the headline? So anyway, it's interesting. I have one of my vehicles is a Ford, and it does have it has Sync 3 in it and not 4. It's the previous version. I like it, but I use a wireless adapter that I got to use CarPlay in. Remember, in my mind, I've said this before, that the thing that I really like about CarPlay more than anything else is it just, no matter what vehicle I get into, I have one user interface that I got to remember. Otherwise, if my wife has an Audi and I got to learn that user interface because she doesn't like CarPlay. But she made the quilt, so we're fine with that.
She's okay.
Well, plus it integrates all across. Like if I'm going on a trip I will plan it again ahead of time on my Mac using Apple Maps, and I even set up guides. And then when I go in the car, it's just right there, and I'm not sitting around fiddling with the little touchscreen in the car trying to enter addresses.
Agreed.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, absolutely. Marty?
Yeah, I went into the comments in this article, and some of the comments reflect on what was discussed here. One comment was, good for Ford. I'll make sure to specify a Ford or other CarPlay equipped vehicle whenever I'm renting a car. It would be nice if the rental agencies indicate which cars, up front can indicate which cars, or the cars that they have handle CarPlay. I wonder if Avis, Hertz, and other rental companies will continue to buy GM vehicles. The response to that was someone who said GM used to be, don't kid yourself, rental car companies get their cars cheap from manufacturers because they need to absorb excess production at the cost of dumping cars back onto the used market in 1 to 3 years. GM used to be the rental master because their union contracts made it hard to cut production. So then there would be extra cars around. Since the bankruptcy, they tore up the contracts and pulled back. So if those reflections are true in terms of that, it explains a little bit about how rental cars are siphoned out and siphoned back.
So the only comparison I can think of, and it's been a while, well, the last time I rented a car, I was asked if I wanted one with Sirius XM. And it's like, oh, I don't know. It's kind of took me by surprise. And so I don't rent cars enough to know that if that's something that rental companies offer on a regular basis, do they tell you up front, or do they ask you? Is that one of the options you can request?
Well,
were they going to charge you extra for it?
I was going to say,
yeah.
Sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. But a lot of times they don't, because they want, they may have partnership with Sirius. I'm a Sirius XM subscriber, so I can tell you that, because it's available, and they'll probably get a kickback with Sirius XM to them, saying, hey, let's partner, and so we can advertise. We'll get one or two people hooked on wanting to subscribe to it.
Yeah, so but the reason I was bringing up is whoever said it. Is this something that'll become a standard question or a standard request that you can make? It certainly looks like it's trending that way. And listen, we're CarPlay people, right? But there's also Android Auto out there. That
usually they come together.
Well,
it's really rare for a car to have only CarPlay and not also have Android Auto. I think the chips that the OEM chips that they buy, they do both. So, it's pretty much a freebie for a car company.
Joe in the chat room says Ford stumbled badly backing away from their EV program. That's my story on Ford. Ford has stated months ago that they will still support CarPlay. So,
they pretty consistently.
Yeah,
said that, and not only the CFO, but the CEO, Jim Farley, has said it over and over again.
Yeah.
Before we leave this topic completely, I wanted to point out a little commentary by the Macalope on Macworld.com that had to do with CarPlay. And basically, the Macalope has concluded a lot of the same thing that we've concluded about tracking and wanting to be able to generate revenue. And so, I throw it in there just as validation for some of us, and just because the Macalope's articles are always interesting. And look, this is an open invitation to the Macalope. If you want to come on MacVoices, your identity will be protected, and we would love to have you because your take on things is always really interesting. What are the chances of that, guys? But, the invitation is open.
I wonder how many people have been the Macalope over the years.
I can neither.
You're assuming that you're also assuming that the Macalope is not on the show right now.
That is a good point, Marty.
If the Macalope were on the show right now, the Macalope would not be able to confirm nor deny such a thing. By the way, I'm not implying anything. I'm just agreeing with Marty. How do we know the Macalope isn't here right now?
Okay, I'm the Macalope.
Oh, you weren't supposed to tell.
What was it? What was that old TV show that,
Gong Show?
I'm Jeff Gamet. No, I'm Jeff Gamet. No, I'm Jeff Gamet.
To tell the truth.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
No,
Weird that I went right to the Gong Show.
Yeah.
That's more stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. That's kind of a guilty pleasure, I think, for a lot of us.
I got the song in my head again.
Yeah. What, Gene the Dancing Machine? Is that the one? Dave? Yeah. It's
Gene the Mean Dancing Machine.
Thank you for bringing it up, Dave. Now it's stuck in my head too.
Yeah, don't forget about the Unknown Comic. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, the Unknown Comic. Yep. Yeah. All right. Well, back
the twin sisters that eat popsicles. I don't know if you could show that today.
Yeah.
And Pee Wee Herman was on there originally before he became Pee Wee Herman.
Oingo Boingo was on there.
Yeah.
On which, the Gong Show? Or?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
We have totally lost control of the show.
Yeah, I was going to say, sidetracked here.
And the thing is, I'm going right with it.
You brought it up.
Bring it back. Bring it back.
Yeah,
It's a good thing I never thought I had control of the show.
Visit MacVoices.com for show notes and to connect with Chuck on social media. Get involved in our Facebook group or like our Facebook page, and get more out of your Apple tech with MacVoices Magazine, free on Flipboard and on the web. And if you find value in it all, consider supporting us through either our Patreon campaign at patreon.com/MacVoices, or by making a one-time donation via the PayPal link on our front page and in the show notes of each episode. You will join these fine people who help bring you Mac Voices. Advertising handled by Backbeat Media at backbeatmedia.com. Bandwidth provided by CacheFly at cachefly.com.